I'm going to show you guys how I made my delicious carne asada loaded potatoes. First, I'm going to preheat my oven to 420. And next, I'm just going to add some olive oil and salt onto my potato. I'm going to start poking holes in my potato because it helps the potato cook better. I'm just going to poke holes all around the potato. And I'm just going to rub the oil and the salt on the potato. And once I'm done, I'm just going to wrap up my potato and continue to do the rest of the potatoes. I'm just going to do the same thing I did to my other potato. I added olive oil and salt, and then I poked holes in it. I'm going to wrap my potato up in foil, and then I'm going to place them in the oven to cook for an hour and a half to 2 hours, or until my potatoes are soft. Once I'm done with all of my potatoes, I'm just going to add them all into my pan, as you see me doing here, and I had 9 of these potatoes. I'm just going to place them in the oven and let them cook. I'm going to start marinating my carne asada. So I'm going to add some olive oil. I'm going to add 1 teaspoon of chicken bouillon, 1 teaspoon of salt, 1 teaspoon of chili powder, 1 teaspoon of cumin, 1 teaspoon of onion powder, 1 teaspoon of garlic powder, 1 teaspoon of Mexican oregano. I'm going to add 2 garlic cloves and 1 small bunch of cilantro chopped. And then we're going to add the juice of 1 lime. I'm just going to squeeze it onto my meat. And once I'm done, I'm just going to give my meat a good mix. And I ended up adding a little bit more olive oil because I wanted my meat to be moist, and I needed the seasoning to stick to my meat. So I added some more olive oil, and then I just mixed it. I'm just going to continue to mix my meat until the seasoning is covering all of the meat. After I mix my meat, I'm just going to add some plastic wrap and let it marinate for about 40 minutes. Once my potatoes are done, I'm going to remove the foil, and I'm going to make a split down the middle of the potato. And I'm just going to start by removing the potato from the I'm just going to remove the filling from the potato. And I'm just going to do that to all 9 of my potatoes. Yeah, I'm just going to cut it open and then squeeze it from the sides a little bit. I'm just going to repeat the process with the rest of my potatoes. Once I cut all of my potatoes down the middle, I'm going to start removing the potato from the skin. or the filling from the potato. I'm just going to start adding the filling into my bowl. Comment down below if you guys are hosting an event and you need me to cater to your event. Just kidding. Anyway, I'm just going to continue to add the filling from the rest of my potatoes. I'm going to add in a half a block of cream cheese, or maybe a whole block. I'm going to add in 3 heaping spoons of sour cream. I'm going to add in a handful of mozzarella cheese, and I'm going to add 1 whole stick of butter. I'm also going to add some salt and pepper to taste. Be careful with the salt, guys. You don't want to add too much and make your potatoes salty because you already have the meat and the cheese. So you don't want to add too much salt. I'm just going to give it a mix, and then I'm going to get my hand mixer out to really mix the potatoes and make it really creamy. So I'm just going to turn on my mixer and begin to mix. And trust me, all the butter is going to melt because the potatoes are still hot. I'm just going to mix everything in, including the butter. And the butter is going to melt while I'm mixing. As you see here, I'm almost done mixing, but it's not as smooth as I want it to be. So I'm just going to continue to mix my potatoes. I tasted my potatoes and I ended up adding about 2 tablespoons of butter and some more salt. And I gave it another little mix, and I was done mixing my potatoes. I'm just going to stir it with a spoon. Now it's time to fill the potatoes. I'm just going to add the filling into my potatoes, and once I'm done, I'm going to top it off with some mozzarella cheese, but I'm not done yet. So after I'm done filling all of my potatoes, I'm going to begin to cook my carne asada. So I'm just going to add a little bit of olive oil to my pan, and I'm going to cook my carne asada until it's done. And while I was cooking this carne, the whole house smelled so good, and it was just, this meat was so delicious and full of flavors. You guys have to try this. But I'm just going to mix my meat until it's done. And once it's done, it looks like this. So I'm going to remove it from my pan, and I'm going to add it to my glass bowl, so that it's easier for me to fill my potatoes. But once I'm done, I'm going to top my potatoes off with carne asada, and I'm going to do that to all of my potatoes. And I'm going to top my potatoes off with some mozzarella cheese. You can add as much or as little cheese as you want. And I'm just going to place them in the oven so that the cheese melts. And once the cheese is melted, I'm going to put my carne asada loaded potato on a plate. I'm going to add some pico de gallo, and some guacamole. And this is how I made my delicious carne asada loaded potatoes. These potatoes were so delicious. I got so much good feedback on how good these potatoes were. Hope you guys try this recipe. Subscribe, follow me on Instagram and TikTok. Adios.